A huge break for the Denver Broncos and their playoff chances on this Christmas Day. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, Broncos country. Apologies for the lack of content over the last couple of days. I've been knocked out cold, literally with a nasty cold. Feel a lot better today, though. The Broncos had a couple of transactions that they made yesterday. I just could not get on it. I was still under the weather. Levi Wallace was cut. They hope to get him back on the practice squad if he clears waivers. Additionally, Blake Watson was elevated to the active roster to take the roster spot of Levi Wallace. They were worried about Watson getting poached off of the practice squad, so that's why they brought him up. That's the short version of the Broncos transactions from yesterday. Today, though, the Denver Broncos received a massive boost for their playoff chances with the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers. They now have clinched the number 1 seed. That means that the Chiefs are not going to have anything to play for as they go into Denver in Week 18. They will most likely be resting their starters. We're not going to see Patrick Mahomes. We're not going to see Travis Kelce in this game. We're not going to see most of the starters on defense. We're not going to see Chris Jones. A massive break for the Broncos if they are unable to take care of business on Saturday against Cincinnati. Again, just a reminder, all Denver has to do is win one of their next 2 games against Cincinnati or Kansas City, and they are in the playoffs for the first time since the 2015 season. If they can't take care of business against Kansas City's backups, then the Broncos don't deserve to be in the playoffs. Hopefully, we don't even have to entertain that scenario and Denver wins against Cincinnati, and then we can start talking about the Broncos sitting their starters in this game, and then it'll basically turn into a preseason game where both teams will be playing backups. Both teams won't really have anything to play for, because if Denver wins on Saturday and clinches their playoff spot, they cannot really advance their seeding. Any opportunity to advance their seeding beyond the 7th seed went out the window when you lost to the Chargers. So now Denver is just in a position where they're trying to get in as the 7th seed, and if they can do that against Cincinnati, they will most likely sit their starters against Kansas City. If they can't do it, though, then they will have a much easier opportunity to beat the Chiefs. It's not going to be a guaranteed win, though, because Andy Reid is still the Chiefs head coach. He's still going to try to win the game, even with a bunch of backups in there. But Carson Wentz is a guy who puts the ball in harm's way a ton. The Broncos should be able to get after Carson Wentz, especially against a lot of backups on the Chiefs' offensive line. They should be able to generate pressure, and they should be able to find a way to win that game if they need to. Again, hopefully they don't need to. I've seen some people on Twitter say, well, yeah, the Chiefs, they might not rest their starters, though, because they want to knock a division rival out of the playoffs. They want to play spoiler for the Broncos. That's all fun and games until Patrick Mahomes re-aggravates his high ankle sprain or Travis Kelce tears his ACL in the game. I remember against the 2 years ago, the Broncos against the Chargers. The Chargers came into the game. They had already clinched their playoff spot. They couldn't really advance their seeding any further. They decided to play their starters in that game, and they kept the starters in until well into the 3rd quarter. Mike Williams got injured in that game, and he was unable to play the following week against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs, and that was the game that the Chargers had that epic meltdown, and they lost that game in the wild card round. That might not have happened if they had had Mike Williams available. The Chiefs are more focused on three-peating than they are playing spoiler for the Broncos. Additionally, allowing the Broncos to win would keep the Cincinnati Bengals out of the playoffs. And if there's one team that has really given the Chiefs trouble in the playoffs, it is the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has kind of had the Chiefs' number a little bit. So I think that the Chiefs would much rather lose this final regular season game that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, especially now that you're no longer chasing a perfect season. Thank you, Buffalo Bills. I think now the Chiefs are much more focused on just trying to stay healthy as they get into the playoffs and focus on three-peating. Let's just be honest here. I think the Chiefs are a lot more threatened by the Cincinnati Bengals than they are by the Denver Broncos. I think they want to focus on keeping Cincinnati out, and if that means losing this game, so be it. So, at the end of the day, If the Denver Broncos cannot take care of business in one of these next two games, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, especially against this Chiefs team who really isn't going to be playing for much in this final game, and really they're more incentivized to lose the game by keeping Cincinnati out. If Denver can't take care of business, they do not deserve to be in the playoffs. All right, Broncos country, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. Help us get to 5,300 subscribers. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.